The unexpected. People don't know what to expect when they come out here. They don't know if they're going to encounter a snake and get bit. They don't know if they're going to fall off a waterfall. They don't know what's going to happen, and so they hear the bad stories and they hear all the scary things. I'm not one of those that listen to that. I'm always that guy that blazes his new path, his new thing. And so I don't think it was a risk. I know my wife gets highly irritated with me a lot of times because she knows I'm going out in large cliffs and I'm going to stand on the edge and take a rope. There's a rope in the bag, but I don't use it. There's a GPS in the bag. I don't use it. There is, you know, I generally have enough stuff that I can survive, but I don't think it was a risk. I think it was an adventure. I think that those that just get out and go do it, you know, what's out there? What are we going to, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a mine. I would go into a mine. I've actually waited in the winter in the 30, you know, in chest deep water, 20 degrees with ice on the ground, and gone into the mine just to see what's in there. Who else has been in there? I don't know. Probably nobody. I've been chased by, I've been almost killed a few times, but I don't think of it as, you know, as something that's, you know, something bad going to happen when I go out. I mean, I drive dirt roads at full force. If my vehicle can go 80, I do 80. If I can do, I do everything I can. I don't generally pull back, and a lot of times, you know, people get hurt doing that. But I think if you do it enough, you get a little more jaded to it. You don't realize the danger, and so when I'm out climbing waterfalls or cliffs or wading across water with snakes in it, I don't think about it. I just do it, and if you experience something, you handle it. I go out by myself all the time. The best person to have company with is myself. I go. I've asked a lot of people to go and they don't want to go, so they do. Maybe it's because I'm in the woods all the time. Maybe I'm doing it all the time, and like I said, I don't think about it. I just go do it because that's who I am. I'm not a sit in the room watch it on TV kind of guy. I'm gonna see it on TV and go out and do it, or I'm a guy that's gonna go out and find that new thing, find that new location, find that new animal or flower. I'm the guy that's going to go do that. When you're in the field and you're photographing, you don't see it. I always try to stop and enjoy what I'm doing, but it's not true. We're not seeing it. The only time I see anything is when I get back and look at it on the camera. And so I don't get to experience it until I'm sitting down at a computer and editing the photo. I try to be better at that. I try to stop, listen to the water flowing, but then all I can think about is there a fish in that water? Is that reflection of that water, is that red bud reflecting in that water behind us? Is there something there, that color combination? You know, so I'm always analyzing. Everything is just like, what's new? What's there? What could be photographed? What's the best angle? Just to give you an idea what I go in the woods with, as a photographer, you always miss a shot if you don't have your equipment with you. So in this bag alone, I have 2 camera bodies, several big lenses, extenders, GPS, batteries, cards, even carry my pistol in here because we are in the wild, so you never know what you come across. So we are protected. You're safe. All right, let's go see what we can get into. Now, look to your left. All kinds of hiding places. Generally you have coyotes that nest in places like this. This will be a classic coyote or a bobcat hiding place. So, I try not to stay around too many of these holes too many times because I'm usually out here late at night and you don't know what's going to be sticking their heads back down at you.
Not even bad, huh, for right off. You can see how the green moss really does wonders for the shot. You know, really, I'd step up here. I would probably get down low and shoot a little bit lower, but I'm just going to take a picture here. I'm going to turn that circular polarizer, see how the glare is. See it take it away? So it already improved the shot. You zoom back out, put the sky in it. What's your eye drawn to? It's drawn to the back of the shot because it is wider than the deal. So we remove the sky and automatically have a better picture. Now we're going to take and play here a little bit. I've got my ISO in 400, but I want all that I can get. I want to slow that water down as much, so I'm going to drop that ISO to 50. Set that. We're going to bring this up to about 18, and we're at 4 seconds. So that means when I click the shutter, we're going to get a 4-second exposure. You see how pretty that water's got that nice silky look to it? Okay, so we can go out and we can shoot in auto settings, but it's best to know what our camera can do, and then we can take and work the shots. If there's wind blowing, then we need to add more ISO to make the shutter faster to stop the shake of the trees. Of course, if you increase that, you don't have as much silky water. So everything is give and take in photography, like it is hiking here. You have to be careful, but you have to know how to do every little change on that. Okay, so we talked about white balance earlier. I'll just click on one here. You automatically see we go from auto, went to sunshine, and look what happened. Automatically went from blue to yellow. All right, red. A little bit better, but it's got a lot more yellow in it. So generally, auto white balance does a pretty good job. The problem with photography, and people don't know that or don't get it, a lot of people do, is camera doesn't shoot white. So when we look at that white water, are we seeing white? We're seeing gray. Camera only shoots in mid-tone gray. So when we edit this photograph, we're going to have to edit the white in this shot. Now there's things we can do. It's called exposure compensation. Boom, it's white. See, I turned it up. I can make it bright, make it dark. So as you increase exposure, make it longer, I'm now at 8 seconds. Give and take. Now the only thing is it's going to blow the shot out. So what we're looking for in here is we're actually looking for mid-tone gray, or you can put on white. It'll darken the shot up. We'll put it right here. See it darken up? We're at 5 seconds. Let's see what happens. A little blown out, but definitely silkier water. Alright, so I'm getting a shot, but am I getting the right shot? I don't think so. I think the best part of this waterfall is the green moss. So we just move one little bit to the left. It's not always bad to have some light in there. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So we'll try it with the light in there. I'm getting some of the sky when I get down low like this. It looks more like a fall shot than a winter shot, doesn't it? See the orange on the left? Now if you edit, now that's without any editing at all. Now when you start editing a little bit of color to it, then you get this too much fall, too much green, and it doesn't look real. What's nice about these waterfalls and the ones I shoot is they're not known, they're not on anybody's list. You won't see anybody else out here. You know, it's kind of unique, it's private, it's my own little world, so it definitely adds to the element of it. You know, it's kind of like the undiscovered, here it is. The only time it's fun is when you hike out after dark. Now all that we've been doing, we come out after dark, not part dark, night. Makes you, yeah. I'm not me and you tonight, but generally when I come in, you have a sunny day. So the best time to shoot this would be late in the evening. So you wouldn't even show up to this place about 5 or 6 o'clock. You would hike in, you'd photograph the last waterfall at complete dark, and then you would hike back out and have to climb over all these cliffs and rocks after dark. Generally I don't bring a flashlight, so
what got me kind of started on all this adventure and this stuff is, of course, as a kid I was raised fishing and taking out, enjoying nature, and I love getting out and seeing stuff. But my first trip was to the ocean. I'd never been. We're in Arkansas. That's nowhere near an ocean. And I got an opportunity to go to, me and my wife, we went to Galveston, and fell in love with the first time I seen the ocean. So that started my passion for new things. But I didn't stop at that. I actually got on a sailboat and actually got to sail the boat. And then I like to race the sailboat, this big large sailboat out in the middle of the ocean. And so adventure started there. I think that's what really got me into it. The connection to the ocean. You know, here we're out in nature and I'm enjoying everything. The connection to the nature and to adventure was that sailboat that I remember. And so I couldn't get enough of that. And so I began to travel all over the world. Every ocean I get my hands on, every new exciting adventure I can get my hands on. That's where I kind of got started. Photography probably started when I went to the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon was one of those cool places, bigger than life. There was people everywhere. I've never seen anything like that. I arrived at the Grand Canyon it had been drought, there had been no rain. I arrived and it was a big heavy rain. And so it had rained forever. And so when I pulled up to the Grand Canyon, we went in and I got my camera and started taking pictures. Here's was this massive lightning bolt striking, rainbows through the canyon, and chipmunks hopping around. There was so much, and so how could you not take pictures of that? You know, how could you not get enough of that? So that really is where the photography kind of started. But what amazing stuff to experience. And so that first national park on the Grand Canyon was definitely what really got me into photography. And then traveling the world at other oceans, my gosh, you know, Thailand and New Zealand and China and all these locations I've went to. Of course, they're ocean connected, but a lot of these places have mountains. And we live in mountains, and so when you're out seeing their mountains and seeing their waterfalls, and you go out and see, you know, Hawaii. My gosh, the first waterfall I photographed was probably in Hawaii, and they were bigger than life, and I couldn't get enough of that. New Zealand was absolutely, it can't be explained. It's one of the most rare adventures. But waterfalls by the thousands at every corner at your doorstep. Something I remember is these big, beautiful parrots flew out and landed beside the vehicle. So to get out and capture that with a camera and bring it back, that was definitely, you know, and then see that. And so what I discovered over all this time is, as I've traveled the world seeing the photos, I've come home and I started discovering the beautiful stuff we had. That I was aware of it in fishing, I was aware of it in, you know, hiking and stuff, but I never was aware of it in the photography aspect. So when I started getting out and really checking out the area, the adventure started for real. You know, I'd go to Australia and I'd see beautiful mountains and waterfalls. I come home and I'd find these waterfalls were here. And so what you find is you can travel the world, but generally you have the same stuff pretty close out the back door, at your back door. And so it's just kind of addictive passion, I would call it. I'm always out, I'm always taking, I carry a tripod and a backpack everywhere. All lenses, no excuses, everywhere I go. No matter if it's 10 miles, if it's 1 mile in, all day long, every day. And you'll find yourself 300 miles away, hiked up a canyon, taking a picture of something that you know didn't know existed, not on any map. And that's what I generally enjoy doing, is finding that different. It don't have to be a 1,000-foot waterfall. It could be a 20-foot waterfall or a 10-foot waterfall with the uniqueness. It could have a red bud over it. They have a, you know, crystal clear with some fish swimming at the base of it. It could be a deep canyon that nobody's discovered. It could be a new species of wildlife, or any wildlife, as far as that goes. You don't know what you're going to get until you hop in the vehicle and you head out and you get off the trail. And I'm not a trail person. Somebody said, well, did you see that shot on the trail? And I'm going, I don't do trails. I'm a trail blazer kind of guy. I make my own trails. If you look over here, nice little animal living in the hole back in here. So you see the overhang, and we will need to be aware of those today. Most people think bears live in caves. That's not the case. They either nest on top of the ground, or they live in a tree, or they live in a hole. But most time this time of the year they'll be out and about, so we'll be watching for bears. We're definitely in bear country. The only thing that limits me, and that's really not even a limit then, is light. And generally, if it gets dark at 7:30, I don't get back till 10. If it gets dark at 9, I don't get back till midnight. I don't generally have, you know, I don't like, you can't be creative when you put a schedule on anything. And so if you come out here with, okay, I'm gonna go shoot 2 hours and I'm gonna get the shot and I'm gonna be done, it never pans out. It shows in your photography, it shows in your work. So I think as much as you can, go out with no plan. Just go out. And then that shot via the river, if I'm working the river, will lead to the next shot down the river, will lead to the next, but you know, I keep working, I work all the way down. If that doesn't, I hop in the vehicle and I go somewhere else and I continue on it. So 10 hours for me is a standard day. I can shoot 10 hours, I can shoot 12 hours. I don't generally have to have, I don't get tired by too much, I don't eat. I mean, I'll take a drink of water if I remember, but when I'm in doing my element, I mean, it's all or nothing, I'm in it. And I'll hike to the next, whatever it takes to get the shot, to find a shot. You know, and sometimes you can go out and you know, you don't feel it, you make the connection. So you're trying, if you can't make a connection with something, if you're not, that's not coming on, it takes longer. But I go out, when I go up to the Buffalo River a lot of times, and that, you know, we got lots of waterfalls. I'm a guy that gets 10 waterfalls in a day. I don't get 1 or 2. And those 10 waterfalls are not in the same area. Those 10 waterfalls are in completely different areas. So we'll hike in, we'll photograph. I'll drive to the next location, we'll hike in, we'll photograph. We'll drive to the next location, we'll hike in. And so it's a lot of work. If you go out with me and you're on a real hiking trip, food's irrelevant, drinking's irrelevant. It's all about getting the next shot in. And so I find I don't get too many people want to go with me too many times. Being out in nature, you're going to experience a lot of things. Snakes, bears, an occasional mountain lion, bobcats, those are all out in here. But most people are going to experience snakes more than they're going to experience anything. You know, you always check an area out. You always have to assume there's a snake laying in your path somewhere. That's probably the best thing I can tell anybody, is always expect the unexpected. And then you won't be surprised. If you encounter a snake, the best thing to do is just back it away and give it its space. I've sailed boats in Australia. Me and my wife took a 40-foot catamaran out and sailed 8 days by ourselves in northern Australia. And we were there 3 weeks. The first week I got chased by a taipan snake. They kill you in 30 minutes or something like that. The third week, after playing with crocs and everything else, we were in the boat and been out. We're about 80 miles out, 70-something islands, and we're uninhabited. Anchored the boat. She's cooking dinner on the back of the boat, and I got in the dinghy. It's about 200 foot to shore. Went in through the coral, and I was chasing blue speckled stingrays up on the shore and in the water. The tide pools are probably 50 foot, 100 foot across, and knee-deep water. And I was taking pictures, and stingrays zip by, click, click, stingrays zip by. And I looked up, and here come a big, solid white sea snake, about 6 foot long, with black rings around it. First 2 foot didn't move. Last 4 foot was like this. And it was on me in a blink, and all I could do was react. I was in shorts, and I had some hiking water sandals on, and cobras is what they are, and they're leaping and striking at me. And I am away from civilization. If it bites me, I know I'm toast. Strike, jump, strike, jump. Seemed like it was forever. And it finally quit striking, and I started to back it up, and I got about 20 foot apart, and the snake came after me again. And this time I walked on water, made it to shore, grabbed a piece of driftwood, and went back after the snake. Upon arriving in the boat, when I finally got back there, my wife thought I was swatting mosquitoes. I grabbed the manual, pulled it out, and said the worst encounter of sea snakes is Whitsunday, Australia, which we were very north, to Thailand. We'll chase you twice, we'll kill you in 6 seconds. So, timber rattlers, cottonmouths, not so bad.
Why is he doing that? Is he territorial?
Testing the area. No, that's what they do. They don't have that to a way to experience what's in the area. They taste the air, and so they can get your presence by taking in a taste.
So if he was a cottonmouth, what would we be doing?
We wouldn't be standing here.
Okay, we'd be running.
Well, we'd be giving away. We could probably still take the camera out. But so if you're taking a picture of him, you want him with a snake, you want his tongue out. So it's not just enough to get a picture of him. Like anything else you're shooting, you're trying to find the best angle. his head.
What does that mean?
That I'm getting too close. Now you see him leaning, kicking his head back
Yes.
in striking position. When they do that S-curve thing, they're ready to strike.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, he'll still strike you. He'll still strike at you. He just telling me, hey, enough's enough. All right, well, let's give him his space. You know, everybody has bad times, hard times. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I grew up with some bad times. My mom and dad, they divorced my senior year, and they fought as long as I can remember as a kid. Some of my worst memories is them fighting. I experienced that like anybody else. I lost my sister a few years ago. She was murdered in New Orleans, and so there's stuff happens, and you have to just. You know, I was the oldest of the kids. I have another brother. I've always been the adult, always the one that always took charge, done my things, but it doesn't make it any easier. There's stuff that happens, and you know, you don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. You don't know if you're going to be here the next 5 minutes. I always tell people this: you don't have that control. You just show up, and what happens happens. And but yeah, there's been bad stuff, and but you know, I don't know. My sister, she always struggled. My brother, he struggles too. And I think people get hung up on the bad stuff. You know, it's all bad happened to me. And I think if you let that control you, then how do you do anything else? I had walking pneumonia, tick fever, two broken ribs, and shingles. And most of that stuff will take most people out. Those are, of all that, shingles was hardest. I got shingles, and I had it for, and I thought I broke part of my rib on my back. I mean, it was bad. It was rough. And I was getting it better, and then 2 weeks later I broke out again. I had shingles back to back, which most people don't get. It's not something you want to experience. But that never stopped me from going out, pain and all, grabbed the camera, head out in. Even when I had 2 broke ribs, I didn't know I had it. I was out kayaking, cliff, I jumped over boulders. I took people four-wheeling. I done that, and then 3 days later I went to the hospital and had broke ribs that I didn't know I had. So. I don't let that stuff get me down. That stuff's gonna happen. That's normal life. You know, to me, healing is being out here. So naturally, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna find out. I cannot sit in the house and do that. But unfortunately, as I was saying before, a lot of people get tied up in their problems. You know, my family, they've struggled through, and it's always about them. You know, they've always had the hard time, and I hate that. Because, and I've never been that way. I'm always that way. Is you make your own destiny, you make your own good time, and so I think it's important to not to take and relish on that stuff. I think you got to get out, and you know you got to keep moving forward. All many things you can do. It's just choosing not to be a victim. And my sister was a victim. She always, as a kid, I remember her being one of those that, she had spunk. She would fight you back. She would whoop up on you if she could. And as she grew up, she lost that. And I see a lot of people losing that spunk. I think that you should always be ready to tackle anything. You never know what life's going to throw at you. You never know what to expect. And so I think it's important not to be a victim, but to always react. Take charge of your own self. I think that as long as you're a fighter, I think my sister had been a fighter and kept being a fighter. And I think she'd still be here. I think that's what caught her. I think you get into the point where it's everybody else's, they're to blame. You accept your responsibility, accept your situation, put it to the side, get up out of bed and go do something. Get out. It don't have to be photography, it could be anything. It could be whatever makes you get out of bed. It could be that thing that you're passionate about. do this enough, then it gets quite addictive. It gets quite of a, you know, what's around the next corner kind of guy. And I do this, and I'll put a kayak in, and I'll do 10 miles in the river because I have to see it. I'll go to a location, and it could be 10 miles straight up a mountain, and I will jog if I have to. I will go experience that, because who says you'll get that opportunity again? You never know what'll happen to you tomorrow. So I believe you should live life to the fullest every minute.
Just high five you right now. You're like the best adventurer ever.
Camera?
Yeah, thank you.
There we go.
I feel like a professional rock climber, but not really.
You put part of it in focus.